my microphone. Hey, good evening, good morning. What is it? 11 o'clock. It's still morning. I'm used to coming to you in the evening. So I was supposed to have a guest today, Mike Slaughter, and I am really looking forward to that conversation. We had some technical troubles, so we're not able to bring him in today, but we are going to postpone and have him next Tuesday, 11 o'clock. So I hope you will stay tuned and bring your questions and concerns. But in the meantime, I just wanted to come on board and talk to you for just a brief minute because I said I was going to be here, so I wanted to be here. Unfortunately, don't have Mike Slaughter with us, but we will. We will have him next week. So I wanted to talk today about, just for a few brief minutes, grieving what was supposed to be, because our topic with Mike was going to be grieving. So I wanted to kind of stick with that theme, but I didn't want to take away any of the questions that I'm going to ask him because I'm anxious to hear his answers. So I went kind of another direction, and that is grieving what was supposed to be. Many of us find dates on the calendar, anniversaries, birthdays, all of those things that cause us to grieve. And let me just say that it's okay to take a moment to do that, to actually grieve again the losses of what you have been through, especially anniversary dates. That's going to happen, and that's okay that it does happen, that you take a moment, that you step back and you have just a moment of grief because that was a huge loss. The things that were supposed to be an anniversary of retirement together, of watching grandchildren together, traveling, whatever those plans were that you may have had, those dreams that were at the later in life, the end of the road, how you imagined in your mind that life was going to be. It was there, it was strong, it was sure, and now that's not the case. That is reason for us to take a moment to catch our breath, to grieve, and that's okay. In fact, might even be necessary that we do take that moment, because that's being honest with our feelings, that's being honest with who we are, what we are experiencing. What we don't want to do with grief is suppress it and not listen to it because it's part of us. So it's not honest if we suppress it, say it doesn't matter, and don't acknowledge it. It is okay to acknowledge it, to take a moment. We don't want to dwell there. We don't want to stay there. But we do want to be honest enough with ourselves to acknowledge that those feelings are there. And that is a loss. So give yourself permission to do that, to grieve what was supposed to be. This was supposed to happen. It didn't happen. Now, I don't want you to stay there, though. What I want you to do is I want you to look for what will be. Because even though it's understandable that we would grieve that, we can't stay there. What we need to do is looking for what will be. What new experiences are we opening ourselves up to so that we might move forward, so that we might rebuild our life after divorce? What will be? Well, what will be is not going to come to you automatic. It's not going to come knocking at your door. It has to be intentional. There has to be a plan. And that's exactly why I work with individuals and groups, is preparing that plan. And how we do that is we ask some really good questions. We cover a variety of topics. We cover finances, we cover clutter, relationships, networking, all of the things that we need to look at honestly of what our future is going to look like, what will be. We have to be intentional to look for it, to plan it, to allow ourselves to step into it. So although you need to give yourself permission for that grief, then you need to make a slight turn into asking the question, what will be? What do I want to happen with my life? And then we set about a strategy to make it happen. And the yellowish book behind me right here, which is Building Your Future After Divorce, is a book that guides you through that. I love that book. I love doing a workshop with that book because we look at areas that we may not look at. We look at the clutter. Where does our focus want to be in the rest of our life? How are we managing our finances? Because until you control your finances, you cannot control your life. That's a bottom line, basic, foundational. And then we look at other things, as mentioned, and much more is in there. We talk about our past too. How do we heal and get over our past? And that past may not be just your marriage relationship. It may also be your childhood relationship and all of those things that we are bringing in with us. So there's a time for us to truly grieve and then to make that slight turn to ask ourselves a question. What will be? What will be? And we don't go it alone. We don't go it alone. In fact, the scriptures, who will guide us through every step if we allow them to and open ourselves to them, Jeremiah 29:11, which you may be familiar with or maybe not. It talks about God has for us a future and a hope. And I hope that that gives you some encouragement this morning as you proceed through the process of divorce. So I forgot to tell you, you could ask any questions. And I don't see any comments, but I did want to just step into your morning for a few moments because that interview is not taking place that I had planned and hoped would, but that's okay. Because next Tuesday, Mike Slaughter is going to be here and we are going to discuss the necessity of grief, how to leverage grief, and then how to move forward from grief. I hope you'll join us then. Thank you for joining me now, and we'll catch up with you soon. Take care. Have a good week.